The Everdusk forest had long stood as a quiet sentinel of the land, its ancient trees whispering secrets of times long past. But on this day, something extraordinary happened. The midday sky dimmed unnaturally, casting the forest into an early twilight. Animals froze in their tracks, deer paused mid-step, birds grew silent on their branches, and even the wind seemed to falter. A hush fell, as though the forest itself was holding its breath. Then, a streak of silver light carved through the darkened sky. It arced across the heavens with a brilliance that made even the leaves tremble. The light struck the forest's heart with a resounding chime that echoed for miles, not the thunderous roar of destruction, but a bell-like tone that resonated deep into the earth. Trees bowed in reverence, their branches dipping low, and the ground at the impact site hummed with warmth. Druids, who wandered these woods in service to the land's ancient spirits, hurried toward the sound. They found a smoldering crater, its edges still glowing faintly. At its center lay a seed, smooth, perfect, and pulsing faintly with light. The druids knelt around it, muttering prayers and trying to discern its nature. But the seed gave no answer. Instead, as the druids watched, it burrowed itself gently into the soil, leaving them stunned and silent. The druids returned the next morning to find the forest had changed. The crater was gone, replaced by a clearing bathed in a soft, golden light. In the center stood a sapling, its leaves shimmering silver green, its trunk pulsing faintly as if it held a heartbeat. But it wasn't the tree alone that caught their attention. At the base of the sapling, nestled on a bed of lush moss, lay a newborn girl. Her hair gleamed gold even in the dim light, catching and reflecting the soft radiance of the tree. Her skin was smooth and unblemished, and her tiny hand bore a faint crescent-shaped birthmark. The druids exchanged wary looks. A child left here, in the middle of the Everdusk forest, beside a tree that had appeared overnight? It was unheard of. One of the elder druids stepped forward, leaning on his staff as he crouched down to examine her. The girl opened her eyes, emerald green, so vivid they seemed to glow. She stared at him, not with the unfocused gaze of an infant, but with a quiet calm that unsettled him. He reached out, his hand trembling slightly, and when his fingers brushed her tiny hand, a warmth spread through him, soothing and invigorating all at once. "She is not ordinary," he murmured. "She is of the tree, or of the heavens," another druid whispered. The elder nodded. "We will take her in. She is a gift, or perhaps a challenge, but she cannot be left here alone." The sapling grew at an astonishing rate. By the third day, it had reached the height of a fully grown oak. Its branches spread wide, casting the clearing in a serene, dappled light. Its leaves shimmered as if each one held a droplet of dew caught in perpetual sunrise. The druids called it the verdant spire, for it seemed to stretch ever upward, its trunk glowing faintly as though lit from within. But the tree's growth wasn't confined to itself. The land around it began to flourish in ways no one could have imagined. Streams that had run shallow and brown now flowed clear and deep. The once barren fields beyond the forest brimmed with crops, their stalks heavy with grain. Orchards bore fruit so sweet and plentiful that farmers had to build new storehouses. Even the forest itself seemed to come alive. Flowers bloomed in vibrant clusters, ferns unfurled with newfound vigor, and animals multiplied and grew strong. The girl, now named Selunara by the druids, thrived alongside the tree. As she grew, her golden hair became more lustrous, her emerald eyes more piercing. Her touch had an inexplicable effect on the world around her. When she walked barefoot in the forest, the moss grew thicker, the flowers opened wider. Animals, unafraid, gathered near her as though drawn by her presence. The druids observed her in silence, realizing she was more than a foundling. She was the forest's beating heart, the tree's chosen companion, and a beacon of the magic that was awakening in Selunara. News of the verdant spire and the golden-haired girl spread quickly. Villagers and travelers began making pilgrimages to the forest's edge. They came to glimpse the wonder, to leave offerings, and to marvel at the transformation of the land. With so many seeking to see the tree and the girl, the druids recognized the need for a sanctuary. Craftsmen, masons, and carpenters were summoned. Farmers brought timber, stone, and provisions. Together, they began to build a castle unlike any that had ever been seen. It was not a fortress of cold stone and iron. Instead, they shaped the living wood of the forest, weaving trees into walls and towers. Vines grew into banisters, and great branches curved into arched ceilings. The verdant spire became the castle's heart, rising through its center and casting its glow into every corner of the grand hall. The people worked tirelessly, not out of obligation but out of reverence. They saw the castle as a sacred space, a testament to the unity and prosperity the tree had brought. And at the castle's center was Selunara, who walked among the workers, her presence a blessing that lightened their burdens and strengthened their resolve. When the castle was finally complete, the people gathered in the clearing to celebrate. Farmers, merchants, craftsmen, and druids stood shoulder to shoulder, gazing in awe at the living structure that rose around the verdant spire. Selunara, now a young woman, stood at the castle's grand entrance. Her golden hair caught the sunlight, and her emerald eyes sparkled as she gazed out at the assembled crowd. The druids stepped forward, bearing a circlet woven from the castle's vines and adorned with blossoms. They placed it gently on Selunara's head. As they did, a soft breeze swept through the clearing, carrying the scent of the tree's blossoms. The crowd fell silent, their heads bowed in quiet reverence. Then, a voice broke the silence, one of the druids, his tone clear and strong. "She is the first. She is our queen." A cheer erupted, a wave of voices lifting to the sky. The people knelt before Selunara, their faces filled with hope and gratitude. From that moment on, Selunara was not just the child of the tree. She was the heart of a kingdom reborn, the first queen of Silvara, whose reign marked the beginning of a new and magical era.